In order to succeed, we need leaders of inspired idealism, leaders to whom are granted great visions, who dream greatly and strive to make their dreams come true, who can kindle the people with the fire from their own burning souls. The leader, for the time being, whoever he may be, is but an instrument to be used until broken and then to be cast aside. And if he is worth his salt, he will care no more when he is broken than a soldier cares where he is sent, where his life is forfeit, in order that the victory may be won. In the long fight for righteousness, the watchword for all of us is spend and be spent.
The welfare of the wage worker, the welfare of the tiller of the soil. Upon these depends the welfare of the entire country. Their good is not to be sought in pulling down others, but their good must be the prime object of all our statesmanship. Theodore Roosevelt, The Man with the Muckrake. After reading The Jungle, the American public was so outraged with the poor sanitation found in the meatpacking industry that they ignored Sinclair's actual message on improving poor working conditions and moving towards a socialist structure. While this lack of insight brought attention to improving the industry's food sanitation, Sinclair's views on socialism were ignored, and laws against poor working conditions for both genders were not enforced until the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, also known as the FLSA.
The Jungle, an expose about the Chicago meatpacking industry, was published in 1906 by Upton Sinclair, the leader of the start of the revolution against the meatpacking industry. This novel disclosed many of the horrifying circumstances that could be commonly found in meatpacking factories, such as adulterated milk, use of aniline soda water, the processing of meat that lay in piles on the floor mixed with billions of consumption germs, thousands of rats, poisoned bread, rotten meat, and the remains of people falling into vats. At this time, hundreds of immigrants were flocking to the United States in hopes of better lives. Many of these immigrants came to Chicago, where the meatpacking industry was strong, and where it was said that jobs were in surplus. There were no restraints on the meatpacking industry, and there was close to no surveillance in respects to the working conditions and sanitation of the meat.
In 1904, Sinclair was licensed by Fred Warren, the editor of the socialist journal Appeal to Reason, to write a novel about the immigrant workers in Chicago meatpacking houses.
Sinclair went into the plants and he saw dead animals being slaughtered. He saw filth all over the plant. He saw products going into sausage that shouldn't have been there. But more importantly, he came out of the plant radicalized by what happened to the workers, how they got chewed up the same way the food did.
The failure to address the social issues for immigrants led to a lasting legacy of discrimination and advanced poverty amongst those new to the United States.
As a novel, Sinclair's The Jungle succeeded and gained mass popularity amongst the American public, and people clamored to read the novel. After reading The Jungle, the public was so horrified by the poor sanitary conditions in the meatpacking industry that there were boycotts against meat and protests by unions such as the Housewives Alliance. The Jungle caused such an uprising that President Roosevelt decided that the government needed better oversight of the factories. As a result, Congress passed the Pure Food and Drug Act the same day as the Federal Meat Inspection Act of 1906, established the FDA, and started the change in the food industry regulation.
Sinclair was displeased by the reaction that The Jungle received from the American public. He said his purpose for writing The Jungle was to set forth the breaking of human hearts by a system which exploits the labor of men and women for profit. Sinclair's aim to pull on the heartstrings of men and women and to bring to light the injustices that the workers face daily missed this mark, as demonstrated by his famous quote, "I aimed at the public's heart and by accident hit it in the stomach." Sinclair's views also clashed with the Federal Meat Inspection Act of 1906 because it did not address his socialist point of view. The law allowed the factories to remain privately owned, which meant that the owners could continue to exploit and mistreat the workers.
Sinclair's goal in writing The Jungle was not to become a muckraker. exposing the poor sanitation practices in the meatpacking industry, but rather to bring attention to poor working conditions.
Upon initial arrival in Packingtown, Chicago to research for his novel, Sinclair made his intent clear by stating, "I am Upton Sinclair, and I have come to write the Uncle Tom's Cabin of the labor movement."
Sinclair was labeled a muckraker by President Roosevelt, a term the president reserved for journalists or people who expose business corruption and political issues. Sinclair, on the other hand, believed himself to be a novelist and an accidental muckraker.
Though actions were taken against poor sanitation in the meatpacking industry, none were taken against the poor working conditions directly after the publication of Sinclair's novel. The FLSA, the first enforced law against poor working conditions for both genders, was established 32 years after the publication of The Jungle, whereas the Pure Food and Drug Act and the Federal Meat Inspection Act of 1906 were passed in the publication year. In addition, despite the FLSA banning child labor in mines and factories, there still appear to be concerns that children of immigrants may not be fully protected. An article published on December 2, 2013 in The Nation, an American news magazine, stated, "Children as young as 12 are allowed to toil on the tobacco farms, whether it's driving dad's tractor or picking leaves for R.J. Reynolds. Tobacco farming poses threats to their health thanks to heavy pesticide use and the possibility of acute nicotine poisoning."
Some may argue that President Theodore Roosevelt began the labor reforms due to his involvement with the anthracite coal strike in 1902, where 140,000 laborers stopped working. Roosevelt played the role of a strikebreaker to end the coal strike due to his fears that the American public would not receive coal to heat their houses over the winter. The miners went on strike to protest their long 10 to 12-hour days, poor wages, and deplorable working conditions.
Ultimately, he was able to negotiate 9-hour days and a 10% wage increase for the miners.
Despite the fact that President Roosevelt helped establish better working conditions after the anthracite coal strike, it should be noted that the positive outcome of the strike was limited to only the miners and not to all the other workers. Sinclair exposed the appalling working conditions he saw when he went to Packingtown as an undercover employee. According to The Jungle, some men received a mere $1.57 per day and worked 12 to 14-hour days. In addition, the factory workers were seen to work without heating or proper clothing during the winter and had frostbitten hands, arms, and feet. They stood all day long without proper shoes in small damp rooms with cold liquids, and many suffered from consumption. Though the FLSA was not passed for another 32 years, Sinclair's novel was among the first to bring attention to the poor working conditions and led the path to eventual reform. The FLSA impacted 20% of workers, established a minimum wage of 25 cents per hour, set the maximum work week at 44 hours, and banned unjust child labor.
Upton Sinclair's The Jungle was a revolutionary novel exposing intolerable working conditions and deplorable sanitary conditions in the meatpacking industry in the early 1900s. While the American public was outraged by the poor sanitary conditions and took immediate actions to correct those, they appeared less concerned about poor working conditions and ignored Sinclair's views on socialism.
The Nation continued to disregard Sinclair's socialist viewpoint and took an additional 32 years after the publication of The Jungle to finally pass the FLSA. As Alexander Graham Bell once said, sometimes we stare so long at a door that is closing that we see too late the one that is open. Despite that, Sinclair remains a leader in American history and leaves the legacy of being the propelling force behind the first laws regulating the nation's food supplies and an instigator for the FLSA, a legacy that will continue to impact generations to come.
In the words of Upton Sinclair, "It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his job depends on not understanding it."